गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गनर शॉट वंस अगेन। गनर शॉट में आपका स्वागत है। आज दोबारा हम मिलिट्री टेक्नोलॉजीज ऑफ दिस सेंचुरी के बारे में बातचीत करेंगे। और जैसे हमने पिछली बार ये 12 टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में जिक्र किया था, आज हम सिर्फ साइबर सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर नज़र डालेंगे और इसके ऊपर फोकस करेंगे और इसको समझेंगे कि क्या साइबर सिक्योरिटी है और किस तरीके से साइबर सिक्योरिटी का जो मेन पॉलिसीज हैं और कैसे हम अ, खास करके आर्मी, नेवी और एयरफोर्स के अंदर इंडक्ट कर सकते हैं। राइट। At this stage, I'd like to invite Jil Narayanan. He's joining us. Welcome, Rajiv. क्या हाल है
थैंक यू
आपके?
सर। थैंक यू सर। सब बेहतर, बहुत बेहतरीन है सर, और
वेरी
धन्यवाद
गुड।
आपने मुझे प्लेटफॉर्म में शामिल किया सर।
नहीं नहीं, शामिल नहीं करता तो हमारा लॉस है और श्रोताओं का लॉस है। राइट। और ये टाइम आ गया हमारे जिंदगी में जब हम अपना एक्सपीरियंस और जो भी ये हमारा एक्सपीरियंस को हम वापस वी कैन प्लाव इट बैक टू द सिस्टम।
Applaud back. Yes.
Right. And that's the whole idea. And like we discussed last time, we were talking of all the technologies in mass, and we had said last time that we'll talk of cyber security.
Correct sir.
Right. So take it on from here. चलो बात शुरू करो।
ठीक है सर। सो साइबर सिक्योरिटी, अभी जैसे वी हैड दिस ह्यूज क्राइसिस इन एम्स वेयर अ होल लॉट ऑफ डेटा वाज लॉस्ट, हैकिंग हो गया था, और कई जगह इसके पहले भी हुए हैं। डेटा लॉस बताते हैं, इतना डेटा लॉस हो गया है। तो ये होता है क्योंकि देवर नॉट सिक्योर इन देयर साइबर डोमेन। कोई हैकर उसके अंदर, कोई वीक लिंक था जिसके थ्रू उनके नेटवर्क में हैकर अंदर घुस गया और उसको जो डेटा चाहिए था उसने रिट्रीव कर लिया। तो
डेटा रिट्रीव ही नहीं, मेरे ख्याल में वो पूरा
करप्ट भी कर
कंप्यूटर
सकता
जैम।
है। अब अंदर गया है तो आपके बाकी डेटा जो चाहिए वो निकाल लेगा, बाकी को करप्ट कर देगा, और इस तरह का वायरस अंदर डाल देगा कि भाई आपका कंप्यूटर फिर से काम नहीं करेगा। आपको दोबारा पूरा मेहनत करके या तो नया सेट लाना पड़ेगा या उसको रीफॉर्मेट करके दोबारा से पूरा सेटअप करना पड़ेगा,
करेक्ट।
जो आपको समय लगता है उसको सॉर्ट आउट करने के
समय ही नहीं, कष्ट भी होता है।
लिए। बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, पैसे लगते हैं, खर्च भी
पैसे
होता है।
लगते हैं और आपका उतना जो सर्विस है, डे टू डे सर्विस एम्स जैसे जगह में, वो तो टफ हो गया आम आदमी के
बिल्कुल,
लिए।
क्योंकि जो डिजिटली वो सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं, अगर वो 1000 पेशेंट्स, मिसाल के तौर पर 1000 पेशेंट्स को लेते हैं, तो ये सब अब उनको हाथ से लिख के करना पड़ेगा, तो मुश्किल से 100 कर पाएंगे।
100 कर
तो ये
पाएंगे।
अंतर आ जाता है जब
फर्क आ
इस तरह
जाता है।
से सिस्टम क्रैश होता है।
क्रैश। वे बहुत सही बताया आपने, सही फरमाया। और ये भी हाल ही में हमें सुनने में आया कि ये सोलर ग्रुप में भी ये हैकिंग हुआ
हाँ
है।
हाँ सर, क्योंकि अभी
राइट। हाँ।
इंडिया लीड कर रहा है, वर्ल्ड को लीड कर रहा है, इंटरनेशनल सोलर ग्रुप बना दिया है। उस पे इस तरह से अटैक आके उस सिस्टम को करप्ट करके आप जो भी काम कर रहे हैं उसको और 1.5, 2, 3 महीने और डिले करने की चेष्टा रहती है इसमें। और आप क्या कर रहे हो, वो डेटा निकाल के फिर जिसने हैक करवाया वो अपने देश में यूज करना चाहेगा।
और ये बेचा भी जाता है इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन द नेट।
यस, जो
राइट।
आपके पर्सनल डेटा है वो ओपन
वो
डोमेन में
वो
बेचेगा।
मतलब में
जैसे अभी
बेचे
इन्होंने
जाएंगे।
बोला है सोलर ग्रुप को।
और पूरा सोलर ग्रुप का एक तो फाइनेंशियल लॉस भी है और इंफॉर्मेशन लॉस है। वो जितने रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, जो भी काम कर रहे हैं, किस तरीके से कर रहे हैं, वो सब उनका जो यूएसपी क्या है ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सप्लोसिव्स एंड एम्युनिशंस।
और इसमें एक और चीज आता है, अगर ये बार बार होता है तो भरोसा टूट जाता है, और आप रिसर्च के लिए बुलाते हो तो कोई आएगा नहीं आपके
आएगा
पास।
भी नहीं। इनफैक्ट मैं ये सोलर ग्रुप में गया हूँ सर्विस के दौरान। उनका वर्ल्ड क्लास एचएमएक्स फैक्ट्री है और वो जो एमिनेशन सिस्टम्स लगा रहे हैं पिनाका के लिए और खास आधुनिक हथियारों के लिए, वो सब हैक हो गया अभी। राइट। आई मीन हैक हो गया, मेरे को पता नहीं क्या हुआ ही नहीं, पर ये सब खतरे में डाल दिया। राइट। तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी जो है वो मेरे ख्याल में बहुत यू नो it's actually a very cutting edge technology,
Yes,
right? It cuts hard. More than the cutting edge, the cutting edge
it
itself is
cuts
very
hard,
hard,
cuts it
right?
very.
And the beauty of this, what I've seen, Rajiv, and I like your views on this is the poor man's weapon.
यस, कोई भी सीख ले अपना, और ज्यादा पैसा खर्च नहीं
शुरू
करना है, और वो
और
अंदर घुस जाता है।
हाँ, और अगर आपके पास ज्यादा पैसा नहीं है और वेपन सिस्टम्स नहीं है डिफेंस के लिए या ऑफेंस के लिए, ये यू कैन यूज दिस फॉर
यस,
एग्जांपल
इसको
नॉर्थ
इसीलिए
कोरिया
वी से असिमेट्रिक वॉरफेयर,
एसिमेट्रिक वॉर, करेक्ट।
उसके अंदर
सो
ये आ जाता है।
हाँ, एसिमेट्री में साइबर technology and cyber warfare tools give you a huge advantage in asymmetry. And I think this is a very, very important point you made, Rajiv.
थैंक यू सर,
People don't
एंड आई विल
understand it.
ऐड सर कि भाई हम तो खैर सिविल डोमेन में ये होता है, वो हैक करता है, निकाल लेता है, सिस्टम खराब कर लेता है, ये करता है। मिलिट्री नेटवर्क में थोड़ा उसका काम करने का ढंग थोड़ा अलग भी हो सकता है, कि वो चुपचाप से बैठेगा, आपका डाटा लीक करते रहेगा अपने पास, और जब लड़ाई लगती है तब सही मौके पे सोचेगा किस जगह पे हमला करके आपके नेटवर्क को डाउन करना है, या आप जो उस नेटवर्क के थ्रू ऑर्डर्स पास कर रहे हैं उसको किस तरह से करप्ट कर देना है, ताकि नीचे जो डिसीजन लेगा वो गलत डिसीजन ले लेगा लड़ाई
यही
में।
नहीं है, अगर वायरस अंदर आ गया तो आपका, अगर वेपन सिस्टम्स को भी इफेक्ट हो गया तो आपके
हाँ,
गोले
वो
कहीं और
ठीक से
जाएंगे।
काम नहीं करेगा। तो ये चीजें आ जाती हैं जब मिलनेट में हम काम करते हैं, मिलिट्री नेट के ऊपर जब काम।
राइट। तो मैं राइट at this stage, I'd like to say what is cyber warfare. Just take
वो,
us through view.
हाँ सर, साइबर वॉरफेयर कैन बी लाइक आई सेड बोथ काइनेटिक एंड नॉन काइनेटिक। काइनेटिक है जब वो हैक करता है, आपके सिस्टम को डैमेज कर देता है, इंफॉर्मेशन निकाल देता है और खुल के बोलता है, जैसे वो रैंसमवेयर वाले बोलते हैं कि अभी हम बेचेंगे, आप पैसे दे दो नहीं तो हम बेच देंगे, जैसे एम्स में भी उन्होंने ये बोला था। नॉन काइनेटिक है जो चुपचाप से, जो आपका रिसर्च हो रहा है, आप रिसर्च का काम कर रहे हो, तो वो चुपचाप से अंदर से आपका जो रिसर्च का है, आप क्या कर रहे हो, वो चुपचाप से निकाल लेता है। जैसे कई लोग कहते हैं कि जो ये अभी लेटेस्ट J-20B निकाला है चाइना ने, जो उनका स्टेल्थ एयरक्राफ्ट था, उसका जो बाहर का स्ट्रक्चर है कॉकपिट और कॉकपिट के पीछे, वो किसी तरह से हैक करके वो F-35 स्टाइल में दिख रहा है अब, कि वो कह रहे हैं कि ये हैक करके इसने डेटा निकाला है। अब आपके पास कोई कंफर्मेशन नहीं है कि उसने किया है, बट लेआउट देख के समझ में आ जाता है कि वो बिल्कुल
It's
F-35 के जैसा बनाया हुआ।
right. Okay.
ये है
So
नॉन काइनेटिक मेथड। और काइनेटिक तो हमने देखा हुआ है, जो सोलर ग्रुप में हो गया, एम्स में हो गया, और आपके बीच में ग्रिड को भी कोलैप्स करवा दिया था, इलेक्ट्रिकल ग्रिड। तो ये चीजें हैं जो काइनेटिक, साइबर वॉरफेयर के काइनेटिक डोमेन में आते हैं। और इन सब में सबसे जरूरी है किस तरह से आप हैक करके वो मालवेयर अंदर डालते हैं,
right.
जहां से फिर वो या तो वायरस का काम करेगा या फिर आपका फिशिंग का काम करेगा, जहां आप डेटा निकाल।
Okay. So we've generally understood what forms cyber warfare can take place. Now let's see some kind of a definition so that we put things in picture. Right. Now this is something which I've picked off one. It could be many more. Cyber warfare involves actions by a nation state or international organizations. That's what we have spoken of. Anyone can
हाँ
do it. It's to attack and attempt to damage another nation's computer or information networks. Okay? Through, for example, computer viruses or denial of service attacks. It could be anything, right?
सर,
So your service can be denied, your computers can be denied, your communications can be denied, it can be hacked, it can be, information can be taken out of it. Now, Rajiv, this thing,
हाँ,
after
ये
you,
इसीलिए मैंने कहा है कि ये मिलिट्री नेटवर्क के लिए बहुत जरूरी है, दैट इट एनकम्पसेस अ साइलेंट मॉनिटरिंग ऑफ द डेटा। वो मालवेयर अंदर है, वो चुपचाप से आपके डेटा क्लासिफाइड इंफॉर्मेशन पीस टाइम में चुपचाप से निकाल रहे हैं, आपको पता नहीं है क्योंकि आपका कंप्यूटर ठीक ठाक काम कर रहा है और आपने कोई अपना एंटीवायरस तगड़ा डाल के नहीं रखा है, तो ये चुपचाप से इंफॉर्मेशन लीक होता जाता है। और जब लड़ाई शुरू होती है, या तो वो आपका नेटवर्क को कोलैप्स कर देगा, जैसे आपने कहा आपके वेपन सिस्टम ठीक से नहीं करेंगे, या आपका डेटा जो आप ट्रांसफर कर रहे हो वो करप्ट कर देगा, तो बैटलफील्ड में नहीं हो पाएगा। सेंसर शूटर लिंक करप्ट हो जाएगा, एक्चुअल जो टारगेट के आपके ग्रिड है वो गलत हो जाएंगे, आप वो सेंसर कहीं और दिखा रहा है, आप कहीं और मारोगे, तो ये इसका असर आपको लड़ाई के मैदान में पता लगेगा। तो इस तरह से भी आपको बचना पड़ता है।
So that means the cyber warfare is quite prevalent and widespread,
Yes, yes.
right? Now this is something which one of the top Microsoft executives has written in his book. Okay, in a world where everything is connected, everything can be disrupted. यानी कि जहां भी आपने एक कम्युनिकेशन नेटवर्क या कनेक्टिविटी आपने स्थापित किया है, वहां आपको वो डिसरप्ट हो सकता है,
Yes.
राइट। दूसरी बात यह है कि एज डिजिटलाइजेशन इंक्रीजेस, द नीड फॉर साइबर सिक्योरिटी इंक्रीजेस। बिजली, बैंक, रेलवेज, इंटरनेट, पानी, गवर्नेंस, सब अभी खतरे में पड़ जाएंगे। तो जैसे हम डिजिटल इंडिया बनते जाएंगे, तो
हमने
हमारा
इस
मुश्किलात और भी बढ़ते
इस चीज पे
जाएंगे,
बहुत ध्यान देना पड़ेगा।
कहने वाली बात है। ये जो साइबर वॉर है, इसका खासियत यह है कि द सिविलियन इज द टारगेट एंड द मिलिट्री इज अ कोलेटरल। नॉर्मली लड़ाई में ये माना जाता है कि भाई मिलिट्री टारगेट होता है, सिविलियन कैजुअलिटीज कोलेटरल होते हैं,
हाँ
कि
सर,
भाई
इसमें
वहां
तो
है।
ये है क्योंकि ये जो साइबर वॉर है पीस टाइम में चलता है,
पीस टाइम
पीस
में
टाइम
चलता
में
है,
भी चलता है, और ज्यादातर पीस टाइम में
पीस टाइम
चलता
में
है।
ही चलता है।
तो उसमें ऑटोमेटिकली आपका मेन टारगेट जो सिविलियन नेटवर्क होता है, और कोलैटरल डैमेज मिलिट्री को होता ही
मिलिट्री होता है। और ये जो इसका लेटेस्ट अवतार है, वो है कि साइबर वॉरफेयर इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है नैरेटिव्स बनाने के लिए,
हाँ बिल्कुल। जो मैंने
राइट।
कल किया था रात को आदि के
रात,
साथ, इसमें मैं कहा था कथात्मक युद्ध, मैंने
हाँ
कथा जोड़ी बुनी जाती है,
हाँ,
तो वो
क्योंकि
ये साइबर, और इसके साथ जुड़ जाता है आपका सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म।
आज तक ये सोचता कि भाई ये नेटवर्क को के साथ इंटरफेयर किया कैसे जाए, रोक किया कैसे किया जाए, वगैरह वगैरह। आजकल उसके अंदर कहानी डाल दिया जा रहा है,
यस।
ताकि आपके पास एक मतलब एक गलत दृष्टि आए, गलत दृष्टिकोण आप अपनाओ और गलत चीजों के ऊपर आप बिलीव करो और नैरेटिव ड्राइव करो। ये खास करके ये जो यूक्रेन और रशिया के बीच में जो युद्ध हो रहा है, ये साइबर वॉरफेयर हैज बीन यूज्ड टू ड्राइव नैरेटिव्स, राइट। हालांकि हम इसके ऊपर आज ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देंगे, क्योंकि और आइडिया इज टू गेट टू द मिलिट्री पार्ट ऑफ द
यस।
स्टोरी।
और इसी में एक चीज बताऊंगा कि यही साइबर, जहां पे आप कह रहे हैं ना सर, जैसे गलत चीज फीड कर रहे हैं, यही काम काफी देश कर रहे हैं, जिसको वो बोल रहे हैं, रशिया बोलता है उसको सेवेंथ जनरेशन वॉरफेयर।
वॉरफेयर,
जो आपके नेटवर्क के अंदर करप्टेड मैसेजेस आपको आएगा और आप गलत डिसीजन ले लोगे, आपका ऊडा लूप जो है, जो हम बोलते हैं ऑब्जर्व ओरिएंट डिसाइड अटैक, वो करप्ट कर देगा, आपका
राइट,
फायदा होगा, और आप दुश्मन को नेटवर्क में, मतलब करप्टेड मैसेज होगा एक, और दूसरा टाइम डिले होगा। आप
करेक्ट।
सडनली सोचोगे कि मेरा दुश्मन इतने जल्दी कैसे आ गया, मेरे को तो पता लगा था ये 50 किलोमीटर दूर था,
पर है
क्योंकि
तो
वो
अभी
आपके
यहाँ।
पास करप्टेड मैसेज आया है, आप रिएक्ट करने में देर कर जाओगे। ये है जिसके ऊपर काम चल रहा है, जो सेवेंथ जनरेशन वॉरफेयर है।
वॉरफेयर,
और मेरा अंदाजा है इसके ऊपर जितना लंबा चलेगा यूक्रेन वॉर, इसके ऊपर ये दिखना शुरू हो जाएगा।
यही नहीं, इसके ऊपर प्रैक्टिस हो रहा है सब कुछ।
हाँ बिल्कुल सर,
और
प्रैक्टिस वही
प्रैक्टिस ही नहीं,
दिखना
और ये
शुरू होगा, मतलब वो अभी प्रैक्टिस करके परफेक्शन करेंगे।
perfection, yes. So all tactics and executionary profile ways to handle cyber warfare are being rehearsed in the
यूक्रेन।
Ukraine-Russian war, right? And I think we also have to be careful about one thing. We always knew about the Chinese three warfare strategy,
यस।
and one part of that is cyber war.
बिल्कुल
And the driver of the Russia's three warfare, China's three warfare strategy, as far as molding public opinion is concerned and information warfare is concerned, is all through cyber,
yes.
right? But let's talk in our context. Let's come to the military domain. Where are we today in terms of military networks? Because only if
ये
you have a
अभी तो
network,
बहुत ही rudimentary है.
we are right.
We are
So,
still moving towards that, but it's still whatever networks we have is rather rudimentary, I would say, at present.
okay,
Maybe just about second generation may we have reached, and some place maybe the third generation,
third
but it is
generation.
more rudimentary.
So it's at this point of time, I think we have an opportunity.
Yes,
While our military networks lag behind and digitalization lags behind, the opportunity we have is that, or the right silver lining is, we are not vulnerable military wise. We are not. We'll now only focus on the military aspects because that's important. The opportunity we have is we are not that vulnerable to cyber warfare. Am I right?
we are not that vulnerable as much as the other northern enemy is,
Yes.
because he's
So
moving towards not only digitalization, he's calling informationalization. He's moving towards
yes,
intelligenceization. He's moving towards that.
intelligentization. Yeah.
He's
So
moving
when
towards that. So
right,
now
I
we
think
have, if we have good, if we develop our capability in that, we can corrupt him.
so. This is the thing which many of us do not understand as far as cyber warfare in a Sino-Indian context is concerned. Military to military in the framework, the relative lag of India's capability to go networking gives us an edge or an opportunistic edge over China. In that, he is going towards heavily towards, and he's getting more dependent on intelligization and informatization. He's network dependent. Become more network centric. He is vulnerable. You are not.
You know. And it
Right.
also gives us the other opportunities that as we go towards more digitization, we take care of these
This,
vulnerabilities as we
yes.
move ahead.
So you have the second great opportunity that we are able to
Make our
guard,
network secure,
make, yeah.
more secure.
It's a greenfield opportunity for us,
Yes, yes,
right? So the two main things which we have come is that in a Sino-Indian situation, while China is very highly informatized and intelligentized and networked, our relative lack of network net centricity gives us an opportunity and
yes,
makes China vulnerable.
yes,
Because we are still in the earlier phase of development, we have the opportunity to develop our networks which are cyber proof if we do the right things. So
correct.
these two things about cyber warfare, these two hard realities of cyber warfare, is something I think our armed forces have to heed
Yes, we should take lessons
less.
which the certain has taken out about all the problems which AIMS has faced, the Solar
Yeah,
Group has faced, and various others, and build in the strengths within our networks to make sure that we can cater for these or anything extra that can develop in the future.
right. So now, having said that, let's see what the components of a military network are. Because unless we understand the components of this military network, how do you cyber-proof them,
Yes,
right? Okay. So I made a slide for this. Okay, I mean we can add many things, but generally a military network has a basic operating platform. It could which could be extended to a weapon platform or a set of weapons,
weapons.
platform-based weapons. And these weapons could be, ships, it could be aircraft, it could be guns, it could be missiles, it could be tanks. Anything is a platform. Then you need a whole lot of data centers and cloud, your own, right? You need to have a set of servers, intermediate, which route and handle the network. You need a command and control system in any military network. You need communication and data channels, right? These could be wireless or it could be fiber optic based or wire, anything. And then you need communication nodes. So I think this generally covers what a military uh, network is,
Yes.
right? Now, in your opinion, how do you develop this generally if you have to make it cyber proof?
So the first place which I will go to is starting with the server, because to enter any place he has to enter that server from where he goes in.
So that means isolation.
Pardon, sir?
Isolation and make it on
Yes.
your own.
So your server has to be secure.
Yeah.
From there, the two things which are key are your data centers and the command and control system. Because for decision making, the commander has to make use of that big data. That data cannot be corrupted, otherwise his decision making becomes corrupted. So next come these two. After that comes the other two, the communication nodes and your communication and data channels. You cannot afford to have these compromised, क्योंकि जो orders and messages and everything goes, because your sensor shooter link is also dependent on this. Whatever target designation and other things you are going to do is also dependent on this. And after that comes your operating platforms and your weapon platforms, that they should also be secure, because they are also, the weapons are also getting in more and more digitized of how they operate together. Because they always, these days we are not looking at any weapon, and when I talk of a weapon system, I'm not even, I'm also including the infantry soldier as a weapon
Yeah, yeah,
system.
yes, yes, yes,
He is
yes,
also getting digitized. So
yes.
these will have to be secured, so that at least if, because the enemy will like to look at that, if he can't corrupt the data system, then corrupt the data entering this operation and weapon platforms. At the user end, try to corrupt it. So
So,
these are the critical, and the complete start comes from the server, which controls these things.
all
The
right,
grid of servers that you have, which is going to control this network.
yeah, and I'll add something to what you already said. कि ये है कि ये जितना हमारा मिलिट्री नेटवर्क्स हैं, they need to be isolated from national grids,
Yes.
right? To the extent possible, there will be some places, say, if you have a satellite link, you would be connected, but those can
वहां
have to
पे
be
you can put your firewalls.
firewalls. You can bridge it out,
Yes.
right? And you can have drawdown
Like
bridges.
inter service भी जाते हैं, like every
Yeah,
service will have that.
yeah,
You
that
need
I
to have your firewalls at every level, so
every
that if
level, yeah,
something
and
gets
you
corrupted, the others don't get
others
corrupted.
don't get corrupted. So you have to zone them out and all. These are
Yes.
standard technical procedures, which I
Yes.
will let's not. But I'm sure people who are experts in this and who are real cyber experts will know how to configure this. But for the common man, for the common military guy who's going to handle all these things, not from a non-technical point of view and a tactical point of view, this is what the whole story is, that these network has to be largely isolated.
Isolate.
The second thing is the hardware in this has to be your own to the
Oh,
extent possible, right? And then of course the software part of it, whatever programs you put into it, has to be your own. That means you're talking of a lot of atmanirbharta.
yes. And even that, if you're permitting the use of your pen drives, that has to be separate, and not the common ones which are used outside, because that the virus can come through, malware can come through
Yes.
that also.
Yeah. So we have to understand that the the way forward. Why am I saying Atmanirbharta? Because you have the opportunity to be so. If you didn't
Yes.
have the opportunity and you were, say, very well networked, by now that choice of Atmanirbharta probably would not have been there. Okay, right. Now, what are the essentials of you know, a secure network? If that is a network, so what is this essentials? You need processor and other hardware. Okay,
Good.
you need semiconductors of
Other
your own,
hardware, matlab, to explain to the others, it is that motherboard.
motherboard.
The
Okay,
processor is the heart of that
but
motherboard. The
motherboard,
processor is
and you'll
very
have,
important.
yeah, you'll need other small processors,
हाँ, तो
microprocessors.
एंड द
That
मदरबोर्ड जिसके ऊपर ये है,
ये है
ये आपका होना चाहिए.
होना चाहिए. Then you need semiconductors of your own, right? You can't have Chinese semiconductors in your systems,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because that fellow might have programmed that in a manner that you cannot, it's reliable. Then you need software capability. your
Yes.
capability to write your own software as per your requirements. Okay, then you need cloud and data storage, which we spoke of.
Yes.
Whether it's a it's server based or otherwise, it's a different story. But wherever you have your cloud, is not something cloud like you see in the sky. I mean, it
Yes.
actually a cloud. I mean, I will. We will talk about what a cloud center is, because I think many of our people don't understand what a cloud
It's a
center is.
open access to whatever you have stored. It's a set of servers जिसके अंदर
Servers,
आपका डेटा है,
data.
which is what a cloud is. Cloud मतलब वो बारिश देता है तो सबको देता है। उसी तरह से आपका
That's
डेटा वहां पे है तो आप एक्सेस कर सकते हो,
access कर
आप
सकते
उसको
हो.
पासवर्ड प्रोटेक्ट करके आप एक्सेस कर सकते हो ताकि कोई और एक्सेस ना करे।
करेक्ट. सो इसके बारे में हम एक और
थोड़ा
दिन,
और
व्हाट इज अ क्लाउड, वी विल स्पीक, एंड व्हाट आर द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज ऑफ अ क्लाud, व्हाई, हाउ डू वी सेट इट अप, विल टॉक, बिकॉज I think
सेपरेट।
the time has come when we have to start thinking of our own cloud,
यस।
especially in the military.
यस।
Okay. Now,
तो
when you need
आत्मनिर्भरता हम बोलते हैं तो हम अपना क्लाउड बनाएं। व्हाई
cloud,
शुड आई
yeah,
डिपेंड ऑन
why should I
अमेज़न और
depend
गूगल और
Amazon?
अदर्स?
Yes, I agree with you. Okay. Then when you want to do a set of secure network, you need startups to make these networks. You need startups to come into the whole thing and make sure your networks are secure. Why the thing is that you use startups to get greenfield technology in and greenfield hardware and software into the whole system. Okay. Now, to ensure that your whole thing comes in, you need finance. And if the government cannot give finance, I think it's time we use a venture capitalism,
वेंचर कैपिटल्स।
so that you get money into the system, right? And of course, you need AI.
बिल्कुल
Today,
सही।
with the kind of data which is flowing, हमें AI की खास जरूरत है, right? इसके ऊपर आपका कोई राय है? और
नहीं, इसमें एक है सर, आगे वो फ्यूचर के लिए अभी तो हम नॉर्मल कंप्यूटर की बात करते हैं। जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इवॉल्व हो रहा है वो क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग है,
क्वांटम
उस
कंप्यूटिंग,
बाद में
वो
बात करेंगे।
बाद में
वो किस
अलग
तरह
बात
से
करेंगे.
सिक्योरिटी और बढ़ाता है और आपके नॉर्मल कंप्यूटर के सिक्योरिटी को आपके लिए कितना दिक्कत पेश करेगा।
करेक्ट. पर जिस स्तर में है हम, इंडियन
उसमें ये
मिलिट्री,
बहुत ज़रूरी है।
बहुत जरूरी है. एंड आई वांट टू मेक अ स्टेटमेंट हियर, यू डोंट नीड द लेटेस्ट जनरेशन.
ये ज़रूरी नहीं है।
जरूरी नहीं है. You need one generation old or even two generation old systems, but you need reliable systems and your own systems. You can work a little late, or you can have a little slower speed in your entire setup. It is more important for our systems to be reliable and cyber proof than fast and weak.
स्पेशली अभी हम मिलिट्री का बोल रहे हैं, यही जो आपके सोसाइटी के लिए क्रिटिकल नेटवर्क्स है, एनर्ट पावर का, बैंक का, फाइनेंशियल का, आपके बिजली का, एक फ्लाई एयर, आपके एयर का जो नेटवर्क है, ये इस तरह से जो क्रिटिकल नेटवर्क्स हैं उसमें भी इसी तरह से आपको देखना है। ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जो बाजार में लेटेस्ट है वो लेके आए, आप अपना जितना डेवलप कर सकते हैं वो लेके आप लगा दें, आपका सिस्टम बेहतर चलेगा।
Yes, I agree with you.
और
Okay.
उसको बिल्डअप करते जाएं। जैसे सिंपल चीज मैं बताता हूँ सर, पहले मेरे पास अपना ब्रांडेड कंप्यूटर था, उतना अपग्रेड करना है, नया खरीदो, फिर आई वेंट इन फॉर ए मेड कंप्यूटर अपने साइबर के दोस्त के साथ। अब हर बार जब कुछ करना होता है उनके थ्रू मैं अपना मदरबोर्ड को अपग्रेड कर देता हूँ, हार्ड डिस्क अपग्रेड कर देता हूँ और मेरा सिस्टम अभी लेटेस्ट चल रहा है, सब कुछ चलता है।
Yeah.
तो मतलब यही है कि अपना बनाएं और उसको अपग्रेड करते चले जाएं
Right.
जरूरत के मुताबिक।
Okay. I think that's a great approach, that you need to do everything on your own, right? And it is feasible to do on your own. That is what I want to put across today,
Yes.
right? This is my experience, right? And I want to put across this to everyone, why, how it can be done, right? You know, a year and a half back, there was a lot of anti-China sentiment, right? At that time, I had written an article in the first post. How do you get strategic autonomy in this field?
In this field,
Yeah, it's there. This is the heading of that article. It's there on my website.
Website.
And I found in this, you need four issues to make your own networks. Right? First is semiconductors. You need your own semiconductors because that is the fundamental thing. Then you need your own indigenous processors. You shouldn't be depending on Intel or
बिल्कुल.
any other AMD or that kind of set
Asus.
processors. Yeah, you should need to have your own. Then you need a software boom, which is on in our industry, the ability to write software.
And which is where is our strength.
Strength, you have this capability. And
Yes.
then you need a startup ecosystem to make things for you. Because when you look at a network, there are so many components of a network. No one single agency can make all these
Yes.
things. And if you have a good startup ecosystem, you'll get everything. Right? And these are the four things which I identified, right? And I said this. Okay. Now let me see related to what is our actual capability on this in India. Look, in India we have this semiconductor laboratory in Chandigarh. Okay, they make semiconductors incidentally. पर ये है कि ये पुराने सेमीकंडक्टर्स हैं. They are
Oh,
not the they are not the this
latest
thing.
thing.
Yeah, but can you use these in your new systems which will come in? You can.
You can.
Do you Can you upgrade this laboratory? You can. Do you have the capability to do so? Yes. It's only a fab. You invest in it. If you don't have the technical capability, do collaboration. But you have already a facility of your own. Over and above this, through the PLI scheme, we know that we are on the edge of a software boom. The government is prepared to invest money to make the semiconductors. Why should semiconductors be made only for Apple phones in India?
बिल्कुल. We
Semiconductors should be
should
made
be
for
made for us also.
us
And
also. Us.
we should do the deal with that Dutch company
Whoever,
ASML for
MSML,
placing what the lithograph printing machines are required for our semiconductors. Let us place it here, and
and
you.
they will not hesitate to give because you're not asking for the latest. You're asking one generation old. Even if Intel has to come, let Intel come and set up a thing for us where the oversight of that whole story is with us.
With us.
Okay. And it's all the more important. The opportunity is now because there's a glut in semiconductors in the world.
Yes.
बेचे नहीं जा रहे हैं. सबके पास स्टॉक्स पड़े हैं, बिक नहीं रहा. अब वो आके करेंगे अगर ये मौका है ये, राइट?
मौका.
आज के दिन. Okay, they have this fab facility. You already have, of course, it's a 8-inch thing, but that's okay. I don't need the latest semiconductors in most of my systems, military systems. Okay, so you have this facility. So one part
Because
semiconductors
the
you have.
उसमें to further substantiate what you say, sir, I don't need the latest which will be very sensitive.
Correct?
I need something which will be ruggedized,
Yeah, I agree
which
with
is
you.
ruggedized,
And
which
tried
can
and tested.
tried and tested, and which can withstand all the shocks and whatever you're going to get, the dust, everything in the
Of the
battlefield.
battlefield.
Needs
I
to be
agree
ruggedized.
with you completely. Right. The next thing is processors. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'll give you a little story before I take you into this thing about processors. Sometime back you would also remember this when you were in MO directorate. There's a thing that wherever there's a Chinese item,
Yes.
you cannot put it in any of our
Any
systems.
of the
Okay.
systems.
Now it came to a point that one of our weapon systems was computerized. It had its own intelligence and all that. And we were using Intel processors. Intel processor, international processors, but they were made in China.
Marriage.
So we couldn't induct that system. We had to, do a lot of things. Okay. Now, most of the processor systems in the world, you know, any uh, processor, the fabs and the facilities are in China. Okay, you can't do it. So most of these are now denied to you for your military. So why don't you make your own processors?
Yes.
Then people will say, so how, where do you make processors in India? And it is here. That's why I thought, let me put this across to you. You know, now in IIT, under the present director of IIT, Dr. Kamakoti, there is a processors which he's been making for the past 10 years. It's called the Shakti processors. Okay. And there are various grades of processors. Some are being, some are ready for deployment, some are in the pipeline, and some will come ahead.
Ahead.
But they are all progressing well. Okay. Now, what are these? It's an open source processor. Right? That's what I've written there. The Shakti processors are open source processors. It's in made by the RISE group. The RISE group is in our computer science department. It can make processors for almost all systems the army needs. Okay, okay. Now there's a base class of processors, E, C, and I. Basically, E, C, and I means that you can use them on your tabs, you can use them on your mobiles, you can use them on desktops for light work. In fact, if you take these processors and fit them into a military environment, 70% of your hardware requirements are met
Wow.
because you don't need more than this class of processors and this speed of processors. See, you're not using an Apple phone during battle, and you don't need these kind of functionalities. You need simple functionalities. You don't need complicated functionalities.
Correct.
These E, C, and I class basically right up to say even to div headquarter terminals, you will be able through. So that means if you have your own semiconductors and if you have your own processors, the hardware requirements of 70% of the army can be met. I'm making a big statement. Okay, I'm making a big statement.
This is something which the army should immediately start looking at and
Yeah. In
dealing with
fact,
that.
2 years back, there was a study group, in fact, which recommended a lot of things to the MOD. I don't know what happened to that, but my sense is, why am I bringing this cat out of the bag? People should understand.
Yes. Because not
Okay,
only the army, the DPP should also start looking at it and give it to the various
it,
DPSUs and OFBs who are making these things for the
in
army.
fact, some of these the platforms on which they made is from Dell.
Okay.
It is not England,
हाँ अपना ही
and
है.
अपना ही है. And some of these systems are already deployed in Bark.
Oh wow.
If Bark can accept these processors,
Why can't
I
we?
don't see the reason why Indian Army and Air Force and Navy doesn't lap them up. Why do you have to go to Intel? Because he gives you a faster processor.
It
Or
sounds nice. You get a free trip to go there and have a
oh
look at
yeah,
the facility.
हाँ घर में भी मिल जाएगा आपको एक
हाँ,
tab or something like that. Those perks won't come, but you get security, Atmanirbharta, and cyber security and
cyber.
absolute dependency value for money. Okay, you don't
बिल्कुल.
have any problems and you can do it in house.
बिल्कुल.
Everything in
This is
house
what is
without
the need of the hour.
me are okay, right. This next class of processors, M, S, and H class, are server grade processors.
Or what, sir?
Server grade,
Okay, okay. Then so you step back from the battle zone and then you have these
always.
available to create your clouds and everything,
Yeah, everything.
your data
Some of
communication.
these, I'm not exactly telling you at what stage these are. The first three are ready for deployment. These
Okay.
would be ready maybe in a year or so because a certain amount of customization needs to take place based on your requirement.
हाँ बिल्कुल सर कोर
The
एंड
third,
कमांड लेवल जो चाहिए आपको ये इस्तेमाल हो जाएंगे.
you have this, and the next generation saw they are doing the experimental process of the next generation already in work. Now the point is, how many people know this?
Nobody. I'm hearing it for the first time.
Okay. Now,
Despite having sat on that chair in MO for 3 years, which looks at these things, I haven't known about this.
right. And
And
someone
when you
should MO
say
from,
last 10 years means just before I joined MO, he has already started it and I don't know.
yeah. Now, today you have these processors sitting. And if anyone from the Army, Navy, and Air Force wants to get onto this and wants to indigenize, get on to the director of IIT. Don't come to me also. Just give him a call and he'll be more than happy to respond to you.
Huh?
I've not spoken to him, but I'm sure he'll do it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Right. Now I'll give you an example. You know, ACCCS system.
Sir.
Okay. Uh, ACCCS system was made by, old systems, heavy soft hardware.
Yes.
The last generation, इतने इतने मोटे हैं, and
I would say last
last
generation.
generation, the software is also old. You can't upgrade it. The weapon systems have changed from there.
Yes.
Okay, but the beauty is you have the full architecture. Now you take these processes, which
Upgrade
can
it.
be done. Why I'm saying is from IIT we did give a proposal. We did give a proposal, but I didn't hear anything back. So I'm sure now with this, hopefully people will hear back, come back, and we have the capacity to handle the software of various gun systems which are coming in, like the K9 Vajra, the Pinaka. All these systems are computerized systems. Now with these computerized systems, the entire system, electronics, software, hardware, everything has been configured in by L&T. So you have indigenous capability or
Indigenous. Yes. Plenty
right?
and
And that's
Tata's there.
Tatas and the works, and through DRDO, mind you, okay. So you have this capability. Now you have that capability for the latest weapon systems. You have the hardware and the software capability of this thing. Why don't we go to ACCCS 2.0,
Bilkul.
your own?
Have to.
And
You need to.
once you configure that, then you can get to your OIS and CIDSS and the rest of the
Yes.
things are
Everything else can get integrated on that.
integrated. Are we doing it? Are we thinking? For those of us who
Thinking,
don't
yes.
know,
Thinking, yes. But how to do it? No.
then we don't know. And this is what we are now trying to do.
Yes.
This is the way forward. Okay. Maybe I am wrong in what I'm saying to some extent, but not more than 10%.
No,
90% I'm
like
sure it
I'll
can be
give you
done.
a simple example that if, as a logistician, to look at it like from a logistician point of view, you're always interested to know what has gone where and how much has been received where. The You can have your homegrown RFID and IFF also placed now,
Yes, yes. On this
and you
though,
can track. Now,
in,
when I was the deputy in the mountain division, looking after the logistics, we used to look at monsoon stocking. Now, the moment the convoys used to get into the valleys, there was no communication. You can't get any communication. You never got to know. So what we did was we used to have a lot of these Motorola handsets and base stations. We plotted with the signals and placed those base stations on various heights, which gives the range. And all the convoy commanders and the drivers were
yeah,
given these Motorola handsets.
and they
Hey
were through.
presto, you were everywhere. Now,
Yep.
this is Motorola. Now you can build in something like this inside the vehicle itself.
Now we'll come to that. How who'll do it? So let us talk of that.
Bilkul,
You
sir.
know, for to sorry, yeah. Now to do all this, like you said, for all these innovative ideas which you spoken of, we have limited bandwidth in the army. We can think, but someone has to do, and
Do.
someone has to do the technology. And for that, we have the best startup ecosystem in India in Chennai.
Bilkul.
When the prime minister came 3 years back to IIT Research Park, he said, "Look, there is no other place like this in Asia I've seen. Okay, the most vibrant startup ecosystem. Why are we not using it?
Must.
Must. Okay.
Because I
Just to give you
keep
an idea,
telling there also, the civil military fusion is not
is
just
here.
bureaucracy and the military, it's
It
these
is here.
people
This.
also.
And if you think this software research park is small thing, this is the building. And there's an aerial view. It's a 10-storied four thing. Yeah.
Wow.
There are about over 200 to 300 startups there. In fact, yesterday the whole day I spent there, talking of EVs, whole ideas, right? I had There's a startup which makes some fantastic things for medical technology, which I'll talk of later. We will discuss is this, right? And it will be fantastic for our forward,
Forward. Yes.
especially in Siachen and high
All
altitude
those
areas and all that.
remote areas where people are
Anyway,
there, far away from the base,
yeah,
and it takes time. You don't have immediate doctor support available. What we
yeah.
spoke of is excellent.
So I'll put this across because the technologies are there waiting to be
Yes.
tapped in such places. The idea is to go, reach, and take. Our problem in the army is the story between mountain and the Muhammad. Who,
Who will come to whom?
who will come to whom? Okay, right. The pity is that if the army doesn't go to these places, someone else is coming and taking it.
Yes,
That guy, that startup chap, there is not bereft of orders. Okay, if he fails with his expertise in whatever he has done,
you know,
Microsoft will take him.
bilkul.
I've personally experienced this. Anyway, when I say Microsoft, it could be Amazon, Microsoft, Google, anyone. Okay. Now this is another view of the research park.
Same
It's a
message.
huge one, right? Okay. Now the next point which I wanted to discuss with you, Rajiv, is this. You know, when you say cyber security, there are two aspects to cyber security. One is physical security of your network, putting firewalls, this, that, all that. Then there's a soft aspect to cyber security.
Bilkul.
Okay,
The ethical hackers.
ethical hackers. Now, the point is that unless you know how to hack, you can't prevent hacking.
And you got to keep up to date of the
Up
new methods of
methods
hacking
of
that are
hacking,
coming.
and that has to be an academic process.
Yes.
In fact, I had suggested this to the army, in fact, to the armed forces sometime back. For whatever reason, at that point, it didn't find traction, but I think we have to relook at it. Is
It
there
has
a
to,
case
because specialization in these streams are very necessary.
necessary?
Because
So, is
ethical
there
hackers also uh, go a long way in protecting your own
your
systems, where ethically they hack into it and tell you the loopholes to cover.
loopholes and there for you to plug,
Yes.
right? So, you need a MTech program. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people who are good at this in cyber security, who are cyber experts. Okay, they say unless you have a MTech program, that MTech program can be run at about 10, 12 places because for the size of our country, you need that kind of mass.
So we
Okay.
need to
Yeah.
learn from our northern neighbors.
Yes.
2002-3 is when Hu Jintao felt the need for it, brought in 2 lakh graduates and trained them on this, on both the streams.
This is what
How
we are
to,
trying,
which is what we need to do.
and this is what we are trying. This is the message we are trying to give
Yes,
to our
and we
system.
should learn from the other country who looks upon us as a partner in the Indo-Pacific, US. If
Who's doing
army
the same
itself
thing?
has a cyber command and it has a
Command.
strategic cyber command, चाइना ने
So,
तो अपना बना दिया है SFF, SSF, which is
so the
the
yeah.
strategic command for this.
So the point, what we are trying to put across, both of us, I mean, that's the crux which has come out, that you need to develop your own capabilities, and you have the capabilities.
Yes, you tap the capability that is available. Don't be shy of it, and get your people trained on it.
Yeah. And don't worry, you might be working with one generation old system. That is good enough for the armed forces today. You don't need the latest. You need the most reliable, rugged, and stable systems to go.
Go there.
Not This is the main message that has come out.
Ruggedization I feel is very very important, because if there is a near blast of an RT shell, उसके शेक में अगर काम करना बंद कर दिया तो क्या करोगे?
That's the end of the story,
That's the
right?
end of the story. The latest system will stop working.
Yeah. And we feel that you need to have a vision for this. You need
बिल्कुल.
that vision has to be backed by policy. You need to have the will to do this,
Build. Yes.
which is many times I find it found it lacking. And you
And
need the
will
patience
is
to get
not
to it.
just here, I would add, is not just the political will, it is also the will of the establishment which is going to use it.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yes, sir.
If the army wants to have a cyber proof system, it'll get it.
It will get it. बिल्कुल.
Okay, that's the will which the army, navy, or the air force, whichever way should have. And we need to have patience,
Patience. Yes.
because
Setting up all this takes a little
uh,
time.
invariably the requirement is day before yesterday. And the guy in uniform is in such a tearing hurry that he wants to finish it within his tenure, which he can't.
He wants to do a thing so that he can show it that during my tenure I did
बस
this.
मेरे tenure में हो गया ये काम.
मैंने ये
ये
करवा दी.
हाँ. So it has to be a systemic approach and a long-term approach.
Yes. It is like planting, I would say in simple terms, planting a mango tree.
Mango tree.
Somebody will
Great.
plant it, but the
Yeah,
fruit will be given
your
by
children will
somebody.
get the fruit.
Get the fruit.
Don't be in a hurry, right? I think we've traversed a fair distance in cyber warfare. Today we've been able to put across to whoever is seeing this, and I hope the serving people see this.
Yes.
This is basically for those who are in chair to understand that everything is feasible here, right? And you just have to put it together to own your system. You own the program and you'll own the system, right? Take it from both of us. Rajiv has handled a lot of things in the MO. I've handled a lot of things for the ACCCS. And today both of us are in that institution which is a repository of all this information. It's my open offer that you want anything, where both of us can help you, we will be more than happy to help you. Your last view, Rajiv.
So yes, because basics we have explained, but the most important part is the explanation that everything is feasible in house, or I would say most of it is feasible in house. It is not only the software, hardware, but the other software part also, which is the humanware. Training the humanware feasibility is also there. There is the open offer. Grab it with both arms, and you will travel the path of. We will all travel the path of Atmanirbharta together.
Why are we doing this? Why have I started this whole story? Why has Rajiv and I we brainstormed it and both of us are coming forward? Is that our generation couldn't do it? The current generation can do it for the next generation,
Yes.
right? That's the only thing that this is our thing we want to put across. And till the next episode, thanks a lot. And I think, Rajiv, the next episode will take on battlefield energy. What's your view?
Yes. Very important, sir.
Right? We somehow
Very,
have
very
to very
crucial
important,
issue.
and
Very crucial.
we have to somehow tell the army to get rid of all its kerosene tins,
Yes, yes. I
especially in winter
remember
glacier.
when I used to be AMS in Northern Command, used to be tearing the hair in the ops room with the MGOL, looking at how much of kerosene has gone, because the next day morning, both of us had to go and brief the army commander. What has happened? Why didn't it go? What have we done? How will it go? And it is amazing. And similar thing when I went as deputy into the mountain division for the monsoon stocking. Monsoon stocking means I had also to take the kerosene to cater for the winter.
Yeah, I agree. I know.
Kerosene, coal, and here was another thing about movement of uh, various other things that were required for the energy requirement for the oil and
Yeah, all
this.
that. We'll
it
talk of the
became
whole
a
lot.
big issue.
Yeah, I
That's
understand
why I
what you're
was
saying.
telling to track where is it
Uh,
stuck. We had to create that grid with Motorola base stations
yeah,
and handsets to know exactly where it is. Because evening briefing, I had to
Mm.
give it to the Brig Adam that what has happened,
yeah, I agree with you
how much has
completely.
gone, and if we
I've
can
gone
do
through this.
something to resolve that and give options of how it can be resolved, I'm sure it will be a big relief to the, especially to
Everyone.
the logisticians.
No, and not only logisticians. You look at the last guy who's carrying a
Yes, बिल्कुल.
a
You
20 liter
always get
can.
the Bukhari fires and you
Yeah,
keep
so a
hearing
lot of
of an
so many
incident.
things,
Yes.
right? And I feel for it because, like you said, I was also the Colonel Adam of the Trishul division, completely in high altitude, so I know the whole thing. I
बिल्कुल.
mean, I experienced the whole thing. So we'll leave it at that. And I do hope our viewers have found this whole story interesting. If you like our channel, आप कृपया सब्सक्राइब करें. Or that's all you have to do is subscribe and watch. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Yes.